So today, I'm going to show you guys a super easy way to make these really awesome luminescent cabochons. So let's get started. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new to the channel, hit the like and subscribe button for more videos and tutorials. Let's get started. These cabochons are made out of UV resin, pigment powder, and white paint. I'll get everything set up and I'll be right back. Alright, so I went ahead and gathered all the materials and supplies we're going to need for this tutorial. Some white paint, a paper plate or something to put that paint on. This resin mold I got off eBay. I'm going to use a white alcohol ink and a blue resin dye. For the UV resin we're going to be using today, it's this. I'll put the link for everything in the description. This is the UV lamp we're going to use. I got these off Etsy. They're iridescent powders. And for this tutorial, we're going to use turquoise spirit and sapphire spirit. I'm also going to use these powders as well, shiny blue and teal. And I got an assortment of paint brushes to decide which one we're going to use. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing we're going to want to do is fill up our molds with the UV resin. So I'm going to just pour out a little bit of resin in each mold, not a lot. And then what I like to do is work the resin around the mold. You may want to heat up the resin a little bit with a heat gun or a torch. But I just like to work the resin around the mold. Now that the resin is coating the mold, we're going to use our UV lamp for 1 minute to harden the resin. We're going to take that off, set it to the side, and the resin is solidified, but not completely cured. Not yet. I put a little bit of paint on my plate, and I'm going to take one of my little brushes, and we're going to paint strokes in here, very lightly using a dry brush technique. So we just paint a few strokes. Not too many. I like to focus on painting the top and bottom. Do whatever feels comfortable for you. So now that we have the first coat of paint on, I like to use the heat gun just to dry it a little bit. So once your paint's dry to the touch, we're going to go ahead and use these iridescent powders. So one of them is going to be turquoise and the other is going to be sapphire. I just like to get a little bit on the brush, not a lot. And then I brush it around the whole mold on the inside. I wipe off my brush, and then we'll go ahead and use the sapphire spirit on the other one. With the insides coated, we're going to go ahead and add some more of the UV resin. Not a lot, just a thin layer. And I'm going to heat that up so it works itself around the mold better. All right, so we have a nice thin layer. Go ahead and work this into the mold just like we did before. Once you're satisfied with the coverage you have, we're gonna put it under the heat lamp again for another minute. That's finished. Move that off to the side. And we're going to do the same thing we did before and paint those lines lightly using the dry brush technique on this side of the resin. You can follow the same lines you've had made. You can make new lines. It's really up to you. So once that's done and we use the heat gun to dry everything, we're going to do the interference or halographic powder again in these molds. So this first one we used the turquoise. And the second one we used the sapphire. We're going to do one more layer and heat that up with our heat gun again. And we move it around the mold just like we did the first time. Once you're satisfied that you have that coated, we set it under the lamp again for another 60 seconds. Move that out of the way. We're gonna paint white on it one more time. This really adds a nice layered effect. And for this coating, we're going to use these solid pigment powders. We're going to use the teal and the shiny blue, and I'll put the link in the description where I got these from. So for this first one, we'll use the turquoise we did before. Now there's some powder left in there, which is what we want, because we're going to mix that up to make a little bit darker. And for this one, we're using the shiny blue. And let's go ahead and pour in this coat of resin. We're not going to use the heat gun yet because we want to mix this around. So I grab a popsicle stick and do the same thing with this one. Mixing in the loose powder to get a solid background that has more of an opaque finish. I'm going to go ahead and use the heat gun and heat that up. Besides making the resin less viscous, the heat gun also helps pop any bubbles. Put it back under the heat lamp for another minute. We're going to put more UV resin in. We're going to add a touch of this white alcohol ink. Go ahead and mix that around. We're going to go ahead and add this blue, sapphire blue dye in here, just one drop. And the white makes it opaque. If you added just the blue, it would be a see-through finish. And a see-through finish will be fine if that's something you're interested in. Mix the blue in with the white. We're going to put our UV lamp on, and we're going to do this for 2 minutes. Perfect. So we have one more coat we're going to put on. Possibly two, it depends on how it pops out of the mold. And this time, I just want to add the blue dye. I make sure to pop all my bubbles with my heat gun or with a toothpick. Now that all the bubbles are popped, we're going to do that for another 2 minutes. Perfect. Now that that's finished, let's go ahead and make sure they feel nice and solid. It does. We're going to pop it out of the mold. Alright, so you can see, hopefully it's showing up on camera, the nice iridescent effect you get from using this pigment powder. It's a very shiny, very iridescent look. Now with this mold, you'll see that you get these little edges, and those are really easy to remove. You just take a razor. What I'll do is take this here and just run it along the sides. Now once you have it almost the way you'd like it, you can grab some sandpaper and you can go ahead and finish those edges by smoothing them out with some sandpaper. If you're proficient with the Dremel and you'd rather use a Dremel instead of hand sanding, you can also do that. Now that I have both these pieces smooth the way I'd like them, we're gonna go ahead and dome the back. I'm gonna put them back in their mold, and we just pour a little bit of resin on the back, and we just want to push, take this one out of the mold, we just want to push the resin to the edge without going over, and I feel like that just kind of helps clean up everything. Once you're done with that, we're going to put it back under the lamp. We're going to pop these out of the mold. And there you have it. I really like the way these turned out. I hope you guys can see that iridescent glow both of these have. It's awesome. I would recommend this interference powder, which I'll put the link in the description. If you guys enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. The button will be there or there. And thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it.